You've probably worked out by now that AI doesn't always necessarily have the most up-to-date information because of how they're trained. But as a result, both the frontier labs and many startups are trying to create new ways for you to be able to interact with up-to-date information that's on the web. So today, I'm going to walk through 2 demos I've made to showcase just a few ways of how you can work with special providers that will help you with up-to-date data. The primary service provider that I'm going to play around with in these demos is called Browserbase. Browserbase is a platform that lets you and your agents work with websites virtually. So you don't have to have a browser open and it's not running on your computer. The agents essentially spin up a virtual environment and navigate and interact with the websites that you ask it to. And they've got a great free plan for you to just jump right in and start to see exactly what their service can do. It's largely driven by their API, but I've built a front end so we can actually view what's happening. Now, this is a pretty entry-level example because if you worked with ChatGPT or Claude with this, you might get the same correct answer. But if you wanted to maybe check 50 sites or 100 sites with this same question, then that's where this is really going to shine. And that's what using agents is all about. It's about scaling your output so that you can make better decisions quicker, faster, and cheaper than doing this manually in the past. In this case, for this front end, we're going to put in a website, cal.com, and we're going to ask a question, which is, should a founder or small team try this product? What's the current pricing? I'm going to run this research agent, and we can see the run logs here. So it's essentially ingesting the parameters that we put in there, and now it is firing up its own virtual browser and is actually navigating through cal.com on our behalf. And we can see that it's using a browser in 2 ways. First of all, it's actually going to send us a video recording of what it did. So if we press play here, we're going to get a recording of our agent actually visiting cal.com and finding the pricing page and any other pages that are relevant to our request. So it's loaded this up and we can see it's clicked on what's most likely the pricing and is going to extract all this information to help answer our request. And we can see that now that it's completed in the direct answer. And it said, we can absolutely try it. And here's the current pricing. So that's amazing that it was able to actually visit the site, extract the information we need, and then we used OpenAI's API to actually summarize the information that we asked for. The final nice thing which you might use in your projects is actually the screenshots itself. So we saw that it shared a video and it also extracts the web pages it visits into images for us as well. So we can see this was the home image, and then we can see a pricing page image and a sign up page as well. If you're doing brand research or anything that requires images, then this might be a great API that you can deploy to go and gather kind of visual artifacts from all of these different websites and services. So a pretty basic first example, but hopefully one that can get your imagination going on just what's possible using Browserbase. In this next example, I'm going to use a code-driven workflow which is going to scrape a website every day in order to understand if there are any sales that are going on that we might want to take advantage of. So I've set this up in GitHub, and I've actually created a GitHub workflow which is going to run this every night at 10 o'clock. So you could schedule something like this if you're already using Claude Cowork or Trigger.dev, anything to automatically schedule your workflows. But in this case, I wanted to try and keep everything as simple as possible by keeping it all on GitHub only. So what it's going to require, as with the previous project, is a couple of API keys, but really just Browserbase and OpenAI. From there, you're going to need a target site. So the first example I've done is Grunes, and I shared that back with my agent and said, this is the site that I want to track for any particular sales. After passing in that request, I can come into the data file here and we can see in the results CSV the result of our first run. So we can see this happened just a few minutes ago. We can see the website and what our objective is, which is any sales, limited releases, product drops, and a summary, which says essentially, yes, we believe that this site is running a sale. And in this CSV, they've actually marked it as noteworthy, confidence high, and given us the JSON output as well. So if we wanted to make this a bit more complex, maybe drop it into trigger.dev to send us an email if something with a high confidence of a sale happens, we should get an email that includes that sale, then that'd be fantastic. But right now we're just in GitHub, but we can kind of see what the output summary looks like. To show you how I actually did this, I'm going to grab another website, which in this case also has a sale on, and I'm going to come into my project directory inside of Conductor and ask it to do the same thing. So let's add this objective, which is tracking this site for any sales, limited releases, etc. They're not likely going to have a limited release, but they do have a sale on. So currently now our AI is inspecting this project repo, it's finding the CLI and is going to hopefully push that request for us. And just like we saw the groons inside of this results CSV, we should hopefully see the DIY blinds any minute now as well. Okay, so this was able to run and successfully utilize Browserbase as it should have to come up with the results. So if we come back into the results now, we can see that the DIY blinds entry is there, and it does show that there is another noteworthy sale event with high confidence that that event is going on right now, which is super cool. So we can run this daily for these two sites and we'll eventually see those limited promotions and sales turn off. And while we did have a UI built in first examples, if we did want to come back and see any sessions, we can come into our Browserbase dashboard and view those sessions here. Hopefully that was a good little teaser to show you just the very tip of what is possible with AI agents who have access to a virtual browser for whatever you might need done.